The other week I was at the Pro Action Dance Combine, and there were NFL and NBA dance team directors at this combine. And I posted a couple things on Instagram and they just kind of blew up. And so I figured I might as well dive deeper on the podcast. And so if you are a dancer who is currently in college and looking to make it onto a pro dance team, I'm going to cover some of the things that I think are important as you are transitioning from that college dancer to an aspiring pro dancer. I was fortunate enough to be at the combine with NFL, NBA directors, and we were chatting afterwards about the talent that we saw, the amazing dancers that we saw. And at the end, some dancers were given a golden ticket or final advancements, prep clinic tickets. And the dancers who stood out were the ones who embodied these things that I'm going to talk about. And I think that it is often easy to think that when you are a studio and college dancer, you are some of the top dancers in your space. And you are. And there are still some differences between college to pro that you want to start thinking about and emulating to be able to make it onto your dream pro dance team. If you are a college dancer and you didn't know that pro is an option for you after college, I want to make sure that you subscribe to this podcast because we talk about all things pro dance, and I just want so many dancers to know that after college, after high school, you don't have to stop dancing and you can dance in the professional sports entertainment arena. And it's one of the best things that you can do, in my opinion. Okay, so transitioning from college to pro. The biggest thing that I see is that we are not doing anything with our face and we're not letting the movement exude through our bodies from a performance and entertainment factor. I say this all the time, but you can be the most technically trained dancer in the room and not make it past semifinals because for pro sports, NFL, NBA, NHL, semi-pros, it is all about entertainment and it has some to do with your dance ability, but most of it comes from your entertainment factor. And entertainment is just not smiling. It's exuding the movement and the story that the choreographer is trying to tell through your body. And musicality is so important. I think that like college dancers, most of you are skilled. You know how to dance and you have tricks up the wazoo. But how do you make someone feel something and make them want to watch you? Those are two very different things, right? And most of the times for most colleges, you have game day and you have UDA or competition, right? And you're maybe used to your hair being like slicked back for competition in UDA, and then you maybe have game day, your hair's down. And then performance and entertainment in pro sports, your hair's down all the time. And so figuring out even that one little piece, how do you perform with your hair down? In our program, we were talking about the other day that like hairography can be one of the hardest things for transitioning for dancers, especially if you grew up in competition studio college, that with your hair all in your face and how do you get it out eloquently and by not adding your own head to get your hair out of your face, that in itself is a performance piece. And how do you bring that to life through the choreography and the movement? So performance and entertainment is one of the biggest gaps that I see dancers are missing when transitioning from either studio college into the pro dance space. The next thing is the little details matter as much as everything else. So these dancers were in front of, I want to say like 30 of the NFL and NBA directors, coaches, managers. These are the people who are literally going to put you on the team. And like nylon situation was like kind of messy. Tiffany from the Raiderettes wanted me to tell you that do not wear one shoe. That was a big sticking point for her. So like making sure that your nylons are the right color for you, making sure that there's no boxes. And honestly, this applies to anyone who's auditioning for a team, but I'm just talking specifically to what I saw from the combine, which was college dancers primarily and a few people who were not college dancers, but also like don't wear socks that can be seen through your nylons. Make sure that you're wearing nylons. Make sure that you have like the appropriate colored attire for you. One of the dancers, she was wearing a outfit that was like very close to her skin tone. And so it just looked nude versus like popping and like commanding attention with her outfit. She just was blending in and nobody was watching her, right? You don't have to have the most bedazzled, most amazing audition outfit, but can you make sure that it's complementary to you, that makes you stand out and not blend in with everyone else? While judges are watching your your overall dance ability, your overall entertainment and performance, they're also paying attention to those little things. In this situation, like coaches aren't going to say, well, you should have had your piercings out and you should have had your tattoos covered if you have them, because you were auditioning for like a broad amount of organizations versus a specific organization. When it is a specific organization for dance team auditions, you definitely want to make sure that you are paying attention to all those little details. Do they allow piercings? Do they only wear red lipstick? Do they allow tattoos? And making sure that you're fitting the part for that team and that organization that you're auditioning for. The next thing with your performance and entertainment is also dancing big. So if you are dancing game day in college, you are used to dancing on the field and dancing on the court. And so how can you project that up and big and take up space versus just performing for the judges in front of you? At auditions, you will be just performing for the judges in front of you, but you are auditioning next to veterans who have been dancing and taking up space in the arena, in the stadium. And so they know how to execute their movements in that capacity. And so if you are just staying in your little box, you are going to get outdanced no matter how powerful or great of a dancer you are by the veterans. And you want to always try to match the level of the veterans around you. That way the judges can ultimately see you on their team. It's like, oh, is that person a veteran or are they not? I can't tell. That is the best question you can ever be asked. I know we'll be in the judging room sometimes or no. If one of the judges asks that and the dancer is not on the team, it's always such a good sign that they are comparable to the dancers around them. And that ultimately is one of the things that judges and coaches are looking for. So making sure that you are dancing big, you are taking up space, and you are being willing to be seen. If you have not listened to my episode from last week, I was talking about being audacious and being an audacious dancer and commanding presence. I highly recommend you go back to that episode because it was a good one in my opinion. And you want the judges to watch you. And if you don't want the judges to watch you, then you might not be auditioning for the right thing, because you got to be confident and you got to fake it till you make it if you're not. Okay. The last thing that I want to touch on from this combine was freestyle. So the dancers, I'll give you just like a little run of show. So they did technique in front of the judges, or they learned a technique combo, did it in front of judges in groups of 4 or 6. And then they got to select what routine they wanted to learn from a pro choreographer. And they learned the routine in like half an hour. And then they performed that in front of the judges. And the last thing that they did was freestyle. And those are very similar steps to what you will find at auditions. You might not do technique, but technique is always part of the audition routine. And so we talked about the technique. Did we talk about the technique? So for the technique element, the standard baseline, bare minimum, turns, leaps, kicks, double turn, kicks on both sides, especially for NFL, leaps, maybe a calypso, surprise leap, regular leap. Those are kind of your 3 fundamentals. I have seen now there's like Firebirds, there's kip ups, there's head springs. All those things have been getting added into some teams' bare minimum requirements for you to make it onto the team. However, the 3 fundamentals, foundational technique pieces, turns, leaps, kicks. Okay. So that's the technique portion. And most of the college dancers, you're doing way more than that because most of you are auditioning and performing at UDA competitions. However, if you're not, and you don't feel comfortable with those, you got to nail a double every single time. And if you're not doing that, you need to work on that. Okay. So that's the technique portion. The choreography portion, it was interesting because one of my old teammates from Suns, Summer, she is now the director of the Suns, and Cassie, we brought her in to come teach a choreography session. She's the coach. So they're like, okay, we're basically going to be looking at the dancers who selected jazz, and hip hop, and Shandon's like heels routine. Those are the main people that we're going to watch because they feel most comfortable with that. So like just by deciding what routine you wanted to do, you could have potentially weeded yourself out. Does that matter in this situation? No, because most likely you are going to audition for teams that you feel comfortable with their style. However, I will give you a caveat on this in that if you tell yourself that you're not a hip hop dancer, you are not going to show up like a hip hop dancer. And I will tell you, I was a lyrical dancer growing up. That was my go-to in high school. And I ended up being on Warriors, which when I was on Warriors, it was one hip hop routine every single game, one jazz routine every single game. And if I told myself that I was only going to audition for teams that I aligned with the style or I felt like it was my best fit and I didn't want to do a team that wasn't that, I wouldn't have been on a team for 7 seasons. And so get rid of like your preference of team dancing, because also there's sometimes that a team might change the way that their style is when you join the team, and you're doing novelty, you're doing jazz funk, you're doing hip hop, you're doing all of it. And so don't pigeonhole yourself into one organization just because you think you like their style. The more open you are to organizations, teams, styles, the more likeliness you have it on making it onto a team. And I do want to say, like, only audition for teams that you are interested in their organization, that you feel like would be a good fit for you. However, like, just the style piece, I don't want you to just pigeonhole yourself into one style because you think that's what you're best at, because that's just a mindset thing, and it's going to prevent you to ultimately achieving your dreams and goals of just like making it onto a team. Not any team, right? Teams that you want to be on. Okay. The dancers chose their routines. They learned really quickly, and then they performed. And so that is everything that I was talking about earlier. So the details, your performance and entertainment. And then also, I didn't talk about this, but for the performance piece, please don't stick out your tongue. Some teams allow it, some teams don't. I would err on the side of not doing it, because you don't want to make a team not like you. Not that they're not going to like you because you stick out your tongue, but like, you want to make sure that you are being palatable for most teams. And then if they do it, allow you to do it when you're on the team. Okay. So we covered the technique, we covered the routine, and then there was freestyle. And this is the last piece that I want to cover. Freestyle does not mean giving me every trick that you can possibly do and nothing else. Okay. The best freestyles, you can throw in a leg, you can throw in a leap, and then show me dance movement. You are a dancer. I want to see that you can listen to the music and embody what the music is saying and be able to tell a story through your move. Does it have to be the most like eloquent, like comprehensive piece? No, you're freestyling. You're doing it on the spot. And even if you're not doing it on the spot, you can pre-choreograph some elements of your freestyle that you feel comfortable with and execute it, and then adapt it based on the music that you're given. But most of the time in auditions, if you are given a freestyle piece, you don't know what the music is going to be. And so allowing yourself to be free with your movement while still you also most likely have known the music, right? It's going to be a popular song, same BPM, consistency. So how can you, like, if there's like a tick tick in the song, like, how can you give me something that goes pop pop, like, versus just breezing through it and just giving me turns and kicks and kip ups and all the things for 8 counts. The dancer who is going to catch the attention of the judges is the one who's performing, the one who is entertaining, the one who is giving movement during the freestyle, not just the one who can give me trick after trick. Because if you and everyone else is doing just tricks, you're in the sea of sameness and you're not standing out. So ultimately, how can you stand out in the best way possible than just giving me every single trick in your arsenal? So if you are a college dancer and you are looking to go pro, it is never, never, never too early to start training. So if you are looking to start training, I would love to invite you to apply to our training program. You can click the show notes below, or you can go to cultivatecode.co/apply. You can also DM me at the Cultivate Code on Instagram. Just DM me the word apply and you can start the process there. And I hope this was helpful for you. I'm rooting for you, and just know that there is so much for you outside of college once you graduate to continue dancing. And I would hate for you to stop dancing because you didn't know that this was an opportunity for you, or that you just didn't think that you were able to do it, because you can. And I'm so excited for you to continue on your dance journey after college. I hope this was helpful for you, and I will talk to you next week.